It is my pleasure to introduce to you Chris Palmer. Chris is the guardianship liaison with the Defiance County Common Pleas Court Probate Division. Prior to this position, Chris worked for 28 years with the Defiance County Board of Developmental Disabilities. Chris has lived in Defiance most of her life. She holds a master's degree in social work from The Ohio State University. She has taught part-time for Defiance College and Northwest State Community College. She was married to the late Jack Palmer until his death 3 years ago. They have 2 adult grown children. Chris was hired this past November by Judge Strasbaugh to serve as the county's first guardianship liaison. I will now turn the program over to Chris so she can explain more about the program and some of the volunteering opportunities.
It's always so nice to be here, and I know I was here a couple years ago, maybe 3 years ago actually by now, in my other capacity at the County Board of DD. It's always nice to come to Hicksville because my father worked for Paducah Electric for many, many years, known as Gilly. I know some of you knew him. And so it's always fun to come here because he loved Hicksville, so I always get a good feeling when I come in. I have been at Rotary several times over my career. I'm getting up there. It's kind of controversial if you should start a speaking engagement with the joke or not, and I have actually never done that. But I'm going to today in the spirit of the opening of baseball season. Because I have this joke and I've been wanting to tell it to someone, so you're gonna get it. So there's a lady in the stands that was on the umpire the whole game for not making the right call. We've all been there, right, at games where people in the stands know more than the umpire. And so every call that was made, she thought it should have been called differently. At the end of the game, she came up to the fence and hollered to the umpire, "Hey, if you were my husband, I would give you poison for making those bad calls." The umpire quietly came over to her and replied, "Lady, if you were my wife, I would take it." So I just thought that was, because I've been to a lot of baseball games, and I was probably one of those women that would be yelling. Okay, so some of you might have seen the article in the paper. The Hicksville paper, how many people saw the article on adult guard? Okay, so a fair amount. And it was also in the Crescent News. We did a rollout actually about 5 weeks ago to get the word out, and actually it proved very fruitful because I received actually several calls, but I was able to secure 2 really strong volunteers through the article, so I was thrilled with that. Why did we start the adult guardianship, volunteer adult guardianship program? You know how it goes. If somebody screws up, then everyone gets the blame. And that's exactly what happened. In Franklin County in Columbus, there was, and I mean no disrespect, but there was an attorney that had about 400 cases that he was in charge of, and he was not doing what he should have been doing for the cases, and there was a lot of neglect and misuse of funds, and so the Ohio Supreme Court stepped in and said, enough, we're going to come down with some new rules for adult guardians in the state of Ohio. And so in 2015, that's exactly what happened. If you are a guardian in the state of Ohio, you have to have 6 hours of fundamentals of adult guardianship training. That's just the first part. After your initial 6 hours, then you have to have 3 hours every year after that. And so that was one of the reasons I was hired to coordinate the training for all of the current existing guardians. And we have at least, this is conservative, I would say 200 guardians right now in Defiance County, existing. So they all had to have their 6 hours. And it's hard for people when they've never had to have continuing education and they've been taking care of their loved one for, some of them, over 20 years. And all of a sudden we're like, well, state comes in and says, you have to get training. And it was hard. So we we really looked at it and tried to make it as easy as possible for the guardians. And we had our first training back in February, and it went very well. And we have another one May 11th. So we're trying to get everybody in this year so everyone will be in compliance. And then they'll do 3 hours after that. So do we have any legal guardians? Do you mind? I'm just curious. Anybody here a legal guardian? I know Cheryl is. Well, if you ever want to be a legal guardian, that's my next topic, because we have individuals in Defiance County who do not have anyone to look after their best interest. We have individuals in nursing facilities that do not have any family close by, or it does happen, family doesn't want to be involved. We have that as well. So we are looking for individuals, and if Cheryl will pass out the brochure, for people that have time on their hands, and it's not a lot of time, but it does, let me just kind of go over the steps. So what it would involve is, say you're interested, you have some time. I actually had 2 retired teachers. One who's just getting ready to retire, and she's like, I know I'm gonna have to have something. And when I saw the article in the paper, I thought, this is it. So she called me. She goes, the first thing is to contact me. I'll either email you information, mail you information, or meet with you, whatever you prefer. Secondly, you need to fill out an application. And the application is very brief, but we do ask some questions. Why are you interested in becoming a volunteer? What was your livelihood? Special skills you think you bring to the table, etc. We also ask for 3 character references that are non-related. You do have to have a background check. So once those 3 things are done, then we match you with a person who is in need of a legal guardian. And it is guardian of the person only. You won't be handling, volunteers do not handle any money or estate funds. So then after they pass the background check, hopefully, and they have their application completed, they'll meet with the judge and have a face-to-face interview, and that would be Judge Strasbaugh. And then once they do that, we'll introduce them to their ward, and if it's a good fit, then there'll be a hearing date, and they will be sworn in to become a legal guardian. So that means making decisions about programming, activities, health issues, and end-of-life issues. So they do require training. Once they become a legal guardian, they take the course, which there's 6 modules that we cover. And then I also put together, everyone receives a volunteer guardian program manual with resources in it. We talk about the code of ethics for guardians, we talk about confidentiality, dementia, a lot of different issues that guardians will encounter. And so this is kind of like their Bible that they keep with them to make sure that they can look for some answers, or they can call me or anyone at the probate court at any time. So that kind of talks or speaks to the volunteer part. The 3-hour training, we have a little bit more. The 6-hour training, we do have to follow the curriculum from the Ohio Supreme Court. But with the 3-hour training, we have a little bit more leeway, and we're going to be talking about topics that the guardians are interested in, like maybe some end-of-life issues, or how to engage someone in more activity, health issues, Social Security benefits, just, Medicaid, just topics that they're specifically interested in. So we haven't done one of those yet. Like I said, that's coming up in the fall. So we'll have completed 4 trainings this first year. Defiance County is one of the, not all counties have volunteer guardianship programs, but we are, I'd say probably about in the middle of starting one. Williams County does have one in place, and they've been very helpful. Wood County also has one in place. And so the goal is, once a person has a legal guardian, often, the first step is contacting an attorney, and they do the paperwork, the filings. But after things are in place and the estate is settled, or there maybe not be any money, it's very expensive for us as taxpayers to continue to pay attorneys to do those types of things when we can be saving money by allowing volunteers to do the job. And again, we train them, we monitor them, but it's very costly because it is up to Defiance County, up to the commissioners to make sure that these folks are taken care of. And so Otto was also very instrumental in Judge Strasbaugh, Otto, and the other two commissioners in starting getting the program off the ground. So I went over a lot of stuff really fast, but I kind of like to be more informal. So do you have any questions? Does anyone? We do require that you do 1 hour a month that you interact with your, I don't like this word, but we can't change it, I already checked, ward. We do require that volunteers see them at the minimum 1 hour. You can certainly visit them more, but we do ask that you go to the facility or to their home for 1 hour and interact with them. And there's a really simple form that we ask that our volunteers to complete, just to let us know, were they properly dressed? Did you notice anything out of the ordinary? What was their mood like? You know, were there any concerns? Those types of things. Yes?
Is there a shortage in the county for guardians?
Yes. Attorneys are serving that role. And again, that's not a bad thing. But with the aging population, as you know, we're kind of, the boomers are really pushing the numbers up there. And so we are in need of guardians. Exactly. Yes? Otto?
Chris, I guess, how many attorneys we got rid of? I know it's only 4 months into it, but that was our concern, to save money. We started the program for the county.
Right. We have, I'm not so sure that we've gotten rid of any yet, but we have, but it's coming. I'm not saying they're going to like it, but it's coming. I mean, I think we're going to be able to cut down. I actually did have an attorney give me some names of some individuals that he feels comfortable now. I mean, and we brought them on board. You know, I met with them because we wanted them to be part of the process. It was, it was to help them. And so we do have an attorney who says he's got 3 or 4 cases that he feels he can let go of because it's just monitoring and follow along. And which that's not just, I mean, that's important, but it's hard for attorneys, they have court and their appointments, and this model has been pretty successful in the state of Ohio. So far, I've gone to a meeting in Columbus and talked with other programs and volunteers, and I think Defiance County has always been a county that has stepped up, and we take care of each other. So like I said, I have 5 right now, and that was my goal for the whole year. So I feel really good about that. So if you know, I guess, and if you know of anyone who has some time, I have 3 educators and 2 business people. I mean, that's their background. You don't have to have a college degree to be a volunteer guardian, but those are kind of that's what I have right now in front of me. And we'll be matching them up very soon with someone, and so that will be saving money. So it's coming, Otto. It's definitely coming. Yes?
Quick question. How does the guardianship tie in with if you've appointed somebody power of attorney? Or does it supersede it? Or is it in addition to if you've already appointed somebody your power of attorney?
I believe, and again, this is, I've been in the job since November, but somebody asked me this, that did come up. I believe they can keep the power of attorney. I don't know, do you know, Amy? I need to I might want to get back with you because I'm not 100% sure. I think they can keep the power of attorney because we don't handle finances. The legal guardian is of the person, and so I'm pretty sure that they were allowed to keep the power of attorney because we don't want our people becoming our guardians too. So I'm 90% sure that that's the answer, but I will get back with you. I can.
How do you find the people that need care of the guardianship? Is it nursing home, hospital?
Yeah, they've already been brought to our attention. So they're individuals who, first of all, in order to be a ward, I guess I should back up, you have to be declared incompetent. So in order to have a legal guardian, you are served. You're served a notice, and there's a court investigator that goes out and does an investigation, and then we also have an expert that does an evaluation, and then you go to court. So we already have the individual, we already know who they're already identified, I guess, to answer your question. Anyone else? Any questions? Well, thank you very much. If you have any more questions, or again, if you know of anyone who's interested in serving in a volunteer capacity, we would love to have them. Just have them give me a call. My number is on the brochure, and my email as well. So, thank you.
At the board meeting, Nathan Farrell is going to be starting a new class out at the school, a STEM class for 7th and 8th grade. And part of that class is going to be working with robotics, CAD, electronics. It's 5 different categories that he's going to do. But we're going to run all the 7th and 8th grade kids through this class at a 9-week interval. So he's still going to teach all the 6th grade science, which he's an awesome science teacher, if you've ever met Mr. Farrell. And then he's also going to do this 9-week class for 7th grade and 8th grade to give them, and the 7th grade curriculum is going to be different than the 8th grade curriculum. The objective is to expose kids to different things in our community that people have said we really need to focus on, such as robotics. You know, we have the APT program out at APT, and that's been real successful for us. And so, you know, we thought if we could expose kids to some of these things, then maybe they would take an interest and work towards that as they get into their high school career. Plus also, you know, not everybody is college driven. And sometimes, you know, college just isn't for a particular kid. So this would give them an opportunity to perhaps go into a field locally here, one of the industries or in the area that focuses with those kind of topics such as robotics and CAD and computer programming is going to be another one. So that's what's going to be happening out at the school this fall. We're working with the foundation a little bit. We submitted an application for some funding to start this new program because there's expenses obviously that we are trying to get covered. So we'll keep you updated on that, but I really would like to have him. I had all intentions of him coming here, and I didn't know that my program was today, so I goofed. So that's that. And then another plug for the foundation is the trivia night. I know that Amy said something about it, but it's going to be a short meeting today, which is fine by me because I got lots to do anyhow. But the trivia night, you really should think about it. It is such a fun time. It's a couple hours and a table of 8. You don't have to have eight people, but if you can put together a table of 8, that would be great. If you want a sponsor table, I know I got a couple table of kids that we get some kid groups, and we always find the funding for that so they don't have to pay anything. We do it free for the kids. So if anybody wants to sponsor a table for the kids, I know the softball team's looking for somebody that will sponsor a group of girls. But it is a fun night. It's Saturday, April 29th, and it's a couple hours long, from 7 to 9. It's finished. A lot of laughs and a lot of fun, so it's a good thing. With that, I'm going to open it up for any questions that you might have about what is going on at the school or anything you want to know about the school, and just spend a couple minutes if you have anything that you want to ask me about the school, where we're headed, what direction, Ken?
What age group is the APT?
That's for juniors and seniors.
Seniors, so you have your freshman and sophomore kind of going to wait till that point?
Well, with this new program, we're hoping that by the time those kids get to ninth grade, for example, the seventh grade, if we do this for a couple years, and maybe we can have something that'll filter over into ninth grade and 10th grade there at the school, some type of an elective, where we can kind of keep that going a little bit. And then when they go for junior or senior, then Tony accepts applications and interviews the kids and selects 6 from Hicksville, usually 6 from Hicksville, 6 from Fairview. And then when they go as a junior, if they like it and it works out, they're automatically in as a senior, so they get 2 years at APT that way. And some of the kids from last year stayed out there and are working for him, and then he's even entertained, I'm not sure if he's doing this yet or not, but I know that he's talked about paying for their schooling if they would go on, Northwest State or another place for engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, computer engineering, all that. He's talked about helping with their education.
Do the ones earn a credit for college credit?
It is for college credit, yes.
So the University of Toledo or any college?
It's Northwest State,
Okay.
but that's transferable to any of the other colleges.
Okay.
There was one kiddo, they have to take an entrance test to get the college credit. And this one kid, I really wanted him in the program, and he couldn't pass that test. And they said, well, he can't do the program. Like, rules were made to be broken. So I said, I want him in that class so he doesn't get college credit, big deal. Let him take the class. And it was a good thing for him. It was a good year for him. So we make exceptions. We try to do what's right for kids. Other questions?
Do they still require band for all the 5th graders, or is that gone away?
We do for 5th grade, and then 6th grade it's an option.
Okay. I just wondered, because I heard there was somebody complaining.
Oh, there's people always complaining. I deal with complaints. Go ahead, complain, put that on the TV. If I made everybody happy, I'm not doing my job right?
This is more of a comment. My son is 6th grade, and he's in the STEM program with Mr. Farrell right now, where they're doing Lego robotics and programming, and he loves it. And so excited when he comes home on Thursday.
They do some pretty cool things. And Mr. Farrell is so creative and with that kind of stuff. So, other questions about anything else? Any other?
How about just a couple of the highlights of the last school year?
Well, our Hicksville initiative continues to be a success for us. We really push for those high expectations for our kids, and the administrative team, myself and my team, we have those same expectations for every employee out there. So, we've talked about that first year we really focused on the kids and having those high expectations for the kids. And we hear it from schools all around about the difference, how our kids are compared to some other kids. Now, not all of our kids are like that, of course, but our kids stand out when they go to other functions. For example, they had a drug-free coalition program where schools from 4 counties all got together in defiance at the college. And so many people commented on our kids on how they were dressed, because they dressed professionally to go to an event outside of the school, and there weren't many other kids there that did that, and we didn't tell them to do it. They just did it because they know that's what we expect when you go out in front of other people. And then, so then this year and last year, we kind of stepped it up, and we had those same expectations for our staff. And, I tell my staff every year, you're mine for the next 183 days, and I expect you to work hard for 183 days. And then in the summer, rest up, rejuvenate. But it's all about all of us working hard all year long during the year. And I always say that, we're business out there, just like anybody else. And, Campbell Soup makes soup. And we make kids. So our product are kids, and we're trying to turn out a good product, and that's our objective. And 99.9 of the decisions that we make as an administrative team and teachers, I make it based on what's best for the kid. It's not always what's best for the teachers, and it's not always what's best for the parents either. But it's what's best for the kid. And that's our product, and that's where our focus is. So when I go home at night, usually, hopefully, well, with the aid of pills, I sleep. Because I know I've made a good decision that's best for the kids. Another direction that, with the Hicksville initiative, kind of where I've been talking to my administrative team here the last few months, is the logical next level. And, we really haven't really announced this or really how we're going to do it, but is to have those same expectations for our parents. And we have, some parents that, attendance isn't important, apparently. And we're going to toughen up on that too, because it's just a gradual thing. That the parents should be held accountable just like the kids. And, when we have kids that are missing 27 days of school in a year, that's a month and a half of school. That's not acceptable in my book. And nobody's sick 27 days out of a year, unless they had surgery or something like that. Sorry, I'm not going to buy it. So, yeah, we make progress each year, keep moving forward. Next year is going to be a little bit of a different expectation for what we want from parents. They have an obligation to their kid, and we're going to hold them accountable too. So we'll see how that goes. It won't be a problem for people like Shannon, Missy, but some people, kids go home. A lot of our kids go home, and they have no support, none. No support from parents on homework, no support for what the appreciation of school should be, and that needs to change. So.
Your LED lighting, is it really proving out savings?
It has, yes, it has. That cost of that LED lighting was $190,000, I think, Bob, and that was to be. We will recoup all the funds within 7 years, and then after that, that's pretty good payback. And our copy machines, we put in all new copy machines in January, and they're a lot more efficient than they used to be, and so we've got those set up so that they are saving us some money now too. So, for example, our last month's bill was $1,100 less than last year's March bill, so that's a good thing. We really try to focus on watching our pennies, spending our money in the right place. I need 4 buses, though, if anybody has about 400,000. Other questions? Okay, well, if anybody has a program that they want to give up in the next month or so before school's out, I'd love to have it, and I'll have Nathan come out and give you more information on our STEM program. We got a lot of great things going on out there at the school. We love our job. I love my administrative staff. I love my teachers. I love our kids. And we really try to work hard for the kids in our community. So thank you very much.
This young lady today is a registered nurse. She works quite a bit. She's the case manager for the whole state of Indiana for workman's comp. She used to drive about 1,000 miles a week, but that has changed. And she might have something to say about that. Pam has 2 boys, an active volunteer at the Huber, and that's what her subject will be about today. She has just taken on a job. She says it's kind of temporary, but she's now the general manager at the Huber to try to coordinate everything. And specializes in putting on productions. Now, Pam Deal, I think most of you know her better than me. Her father is Don Wonderly. Her sister is a postmistress going around town, so please welcome Pam Deal.
Thank you very much. It's really nice to be back here to promote the Huber with you. Yes, he did bring up a couple things. I was traveling 1,000 miles a week there for a few years, but in the process, I built up a good network of physicians and physical therapy and so forth, and I no longer have to travel, so I can work from home because I know where to find these good providers for medical care for our injured workers in Indiana. So it's a good thing to have traveled briefly, a few years anyway. I need to thank the Rotary even now, after how many years has it been? 13 years, because my son was one of your exchange students to Germany. And until he got married and has a child, that was still probably the highlight of his life. He said it was the best year of his life to be over there. And he said he really assimilated into the culture when he began dreaming in German. So it was really cool. And at that same year, we also helped with sponsoring one of your students who came to America. That was Carolina from Poland. And that was a delightful experience for us, too. So, again, that was, we can't forget those good years. I also need to thank you for last year, because when we began doing our own productions at the Huber, you matched our need, funding-wise, when we needed microphone sets. Because when we began doing our own productions, we didn't have anything. We didn't have that equipment. So I approached a couple of you, and you did help us purchase those, and the show went on. So thank you again for that. I haven't spoken to you about the Huber since probably 2000, so it's time you hear what's up. I don't know how many of you may have seen the movie Sing with your grandchild or your children. We just watched it this weekend at the Huber because we began monthly movies for the children. Doggone it, if that doesn't relate to what we went through in trying to save the Huber. It was a very good parallel because the Huber was really run down, and volunteers came together with a vision, and we have saved that building, and it is phenomenal. I don't know, I'm not going to go back into the entire history, but I do hope everybody has the chance to stop in and see what has happened. I did prepare a PowerPoint years ago showing what it looked like in the beginning, when the cleanest part of that entire building was the dirt floor in the basement. It was bad. It was sticky, it smelled, there was gas leak, it was awful. But so now you come and see what volunteers have done, and it's amazing. So this is basically one of our historic buildings here in town. And again, I said it was committed volunteers and very dedicated volunteers who have brought this together to be the beautiful building we have. And many of us are still there since 1999 when we first made the purchase. It is a solid board, and we just met in strategic planning on Saturday, and we have some goals outlined for the upcoming year, and I'll talk to you more about that. But on your brochure, some of you who may not have been in town at that time, you will see that pink building. That's what it looked like when we bought it in '99. It looked like it belonged in a slum in a city. Now look at it. So, craftsmanship from our woodworkers to our metal workers to the people who knew the electric, people with ideas. Pat's mom was our treasurer. Everybody came together, and we saved that building, and we did it well. It is a beautiful venue for any kind of event. We have the community room that'll seat up to 50 people for smaller events, showers, parties, birthday parties. We have the auditorium that has been used for productions, receptions, weddings. The Defiance Area Foundation had their annual meeting there last year. And it's really nice to see people coming together and supporting it one way or the other. We cannot take this building for granted. Some of us who have been there all these years, sometimes we might forget to look at the beauty of it again because we're so used to seeing it. But when somebody new comes in and we tell the history and they are awestruck by this was done by volunteers, it is amazing for us to recall I just got chills thinking about it. It's amazing for us to recall that all the work, blood, sweat, and tears that have gone into this. So we cannot take this building for granted. It is a part of our community, and it needs community support to do it. Like I said, sometimes we get comfortable with it, but we need to see it through other people's eyes, and it really is amazing. vision of these volunteers that has made it happen. We had Kenny Rodacher, who owned the building previously, who knew it from inside out. We had Wayne Thurman, who did the wonderful wood craftsmanship and led the guys doing all of that. Jim Rath, who knew metalworking and welding and things we needed to get the metal work done. And then all the other guys. I mean, your own Dick Green was a big part of that back in the beginning, too. So it's just amazing what it took. I'm going to forget names. I just mentioned those three because you can visually see what they had to offer. Our most recent project, thanks to a generous donor, is that we have now remodeled the costume room up on the second floor. For 10 years, that has sat there looking, well, just unloved, basically. Now it has a new floor, it has painting, it has wood, it has shelves, and the costume room is going to be a working costume room for our productions. And that's our most recent pride, so we're happy to see that. And it wouldn't happen without, again, donations from people that support our project. So no matter what the public sees, that building is not done. You drive by and you think it might be, but it isn't. We have more to do up there. We have the balcony that needs new flooring. It needs seats. It needs to be code compliant with railings that are high enough to meet code. And we have the upstairs lobby that needs new flooring as well. And the stairs need some carpet or painting. That is relatively minor when you consider what I'll be talking about later. But those kind of things, if donations come in, something we can start working on. And as we work on the new things, it's old enough now that some of the old things need some maintenance and repair. So it's always going to be a work in progress. A couple of us have worked on grants in the last few years, and we're very successful with those, and that has helped us with our productions. It has also helped us get tech equipment we need for our productions. So we do thanks to the Defiance Area Foundation for their assistance in getting safety measures like the railing just to step inside, the lighting above on the outside balcony, and we got hearing equipment for the hearing impaired so they can hear the shows better. And the Ohio Arts Council has helped us with in 2016 with our programming. And that was really a great start because we only began our own productions in 2016. Until that point, we used entertainment for theater productions by C.C. Banks Productions or the Village Players. And then somewhat by default, because we had directors who wanted to do shows for the Huber, we began doing our own productions. And that's where your help came in with the headsets and the microphones, because we really didn't have any. And we were very thankful for that. And then for grant money we received, which allowed us to do that. Our shows have been successful because we picked good shows with good performers, and we had good audiences, and that's what it takes. Marketing is getting expensive, so one thing we have to deal with is how to get better word out about our productions, but we'll work on that. I just wanted to let you know, in case you don't, how much it costs to put on a theatrical production. I know Keith knows, but some of our simpler productions, like Odd Couple, where it might be just one set, half a dozen performers, can probably get done for around $3,000, and that includes marketing, because you have your royalties, you have your set, you have the marketing, and that's if you don't have to rent costumes. And that's really a stringent budget. When you get into things like what we're doing this fall, we're doing Peter Pan. A couple of years ago, the Village Players did Mary Poppins, and I know the school did Little Mermaid. And I can't speak for him, but I can tell you that I'm expecting for Peter Pan, that is going to cost us at least $18,000. And people don't understand what it takes to do it, so it's always a huge, huge expense to do a show. But again, we're thankful as we build up our budget that we have the money then to proceed, maybe with some donations and help. Now, keep in mind, Peter Pan has a huge expense because Peter and the children fly. That's a liability issue, and that's a big expense right there. That's almost half the budget, probably. So our director wants to do it, so he's going to help us get sponsorships. And anyway, that's going to be a phenomenal show this fall. We also do one-night events, like we had the Fords a couple weeks ago. That was a wonderful show, great entertainment. And then we have, I mentioned the community room. We are already getting 2018 on the calendar. We are up to mid-2018. We do have to plan ahead because it's the only way to budget what we're going to be doing as far as the stage performances go. The sad thing about what we do, though, and this is again where we have to deal with our marketing and publicity, we have done some surveys following our shows. In some cases, only 10% of our audience is from Hicksville. We draw from all the surrounding communities, including Fort Wayne, 5 counties, but 10% from Hicksville. That's a really sad fact. And we don't know what we need to do to help get the word out. We have some ideas. But anyway, that brings us to our next vision. Our board met on Saturday for strategic planning for the upcoming year. Now, this board is very committed to all aspects of the Huber, the building, productions, events, and what we have to offer the community. We are still all volunteer. Even in my role, I'm volunteering. But we do need to get what I'm doing temporarily to a paid position. Somebody who understands all aspects of fundraising and marketing and programming and building maintenance. Somebody who can oversee all of this and has the education and the skill for it. But that's one of our goals. Other opportunities and aspirations we've discussed, like I said, is better attendance. How the heck do we reach the people to let them know what we're doing? One of the board members said, yeah, her friend walks by here every day. It's out on a sign, the posters are out, and she said, oh, I didn't know that was going on. I don't know, what do we do? So any of you have ideas, let us know. We have, it's like, so are we taking it for granted? I don't know, is the community taking it for granted? So we need to cement a relationship between the Huber and the community. And that's one of our goals, is to find out how to do that. So some of the other things we are planning, and are in the planning stages of doing, is preparing a grant application for estate planning. We have our major speaker lined up. We have another speaker lined up. One of them will be estate planning. The next one is on the technology involved with marketing and all of the media, social media now, that I certainly don't know, but she does, and she's going to speak to the board about that. But that's a grant application, because that's going to cost us. We need to make sure we get the money to get this and start learning how to get the word out. So we need to discuss what makes us relevant, what would make people interested. We are having to set the stage for the next generations. That building has been there since 1892, so I think we can keep it around for at least another 100 years. Our mission statement has 3 aspects to it. To preserve the history of the community through building restoration. You can tell we're meeting that. We really have had the focus mainly the past few years on the building. To promote the culture and the arts through education, entertainment, and quality programming. We were bringing in one-night shows on weekends, things like that, and other organizations were bringing in theatrical productions. We have begun doing our own, and as I said, they're good shows. I have obviously gone to shows outside of town and everything. We match them. We match them in the quality. We don't have the big stage like they do, but doggone it, we have good performers, we have good musicians. It's really good what we do up there. The school performs their events there, and as Keith said, because of the Huber, they didn't have to worry about building an auditorium out there at the school, and we appreciate that. So, and they do good shows. And then the third aspect is to provide a community center through participation of volunteers, local schools, and organizations. We do provide that as well. We have that community room. It is open for anybody to rent for any event, whether you want the smaller area or you want the larger area. Another gal and I, a couple weeks ago, attended the conference for the League of Historic American Theaters. And that is a goal of ours, maybe to join that organization, because it's a good networking area for us to work on our building. But what we learned there was kind of inspiring for us, and we have some ideas to proceed based on information we got from that. What they said was, and Keith may know because he would have more statistics, but most of our talented young people end up leaving small town USA. And employers like people who have studied the arts one way or the other, because they have the arts equals more creative thinking, which means innovation. which the studies that these people were quoting said that these employers look for people who can think outside the box, and they look for students and employees who have done that. And now we hate to see our young people leave, but we can just say that we're probably sending out some quality kids here when they do leave town. And but it is nice to see when they come back and appreciate what has happened. Another fact that they brought, Thomas Sudhoff, who was the 2013 Nobel Prize winner for medicine, said, "I owe it all to my bassoon teacher." Now that was kind of interesting, but it was the perseverance and the diligence and striving to be the best that led him to be the best in his research in medicine. So I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, that's just another aspect of what arts promote. So another aspect of our capital campaign that you'll be hearing about more as we get it developed is the sale of the bricks. You got the information with your brochure. We want to sell 4,000 bricks. 4,000 bricks would fix our western wall, which is being destroyed by birds. The soft, old bricks are being chipped on by the birds, and it's beginning to leak. We have some money put towards that, but it's an $80,000 project. The sale of bricks will take care of that, and it will pay off our mortgage. So we really, Keith has offered to be the chairman of the committee to promote this project. So we do appreciate that, but it's a great project because we need it on that western wall for sure. As far as the mortgage goes, we have a multi-million-dollar building there with a mortgage of only $107,000. That's pretty good. The idea, though, behind it is because our monthly bills are very tight, and if we get the mortgage paid off, that's money that can go towards whatever other expenses we have for the month. Our treasurer would appreciate not having to pay that one, but that's just, but we're very fortunate that that's all our mortgage is after all of that. So anyway, watch for that campaign and just hope you're on board with us for that. Another thing that we would like to do, and it is not part of the major campaign, but eventually we'd like to put a marquee out front, because maybe when people drive through town they would see better what's going on if we have a marquee that can be seen from both sides of the traffic. So that's another issue that we had discussed. Now, something that will help us is knowing what you would like. What would you like to see at the Huber? What would inspire the people of the community? Maybe you have ideas. We don't always need just people who can hammer a nail. We need people with good ideas as well that we can work towards. So how would you as individuals or as an organization perceive the Huber? What do you need? What do you think we need to proceed and make it even better? So, we also don't want any misperceptions or miscommunications or incorrect information out there. We really do want to know what people see, and I'll clarify any misperceptions. There's nothing to hide here. So I'd like you to ask questions. I'd like you to give ideas, and maybe you have ideas on how we can improve our exposure in the community. That would be really helpful. But most of all, we'd like to see you at some of our events because, like I said, we do good work up there. So we'd like everybody to get the Huber habit. So thanks for allowing me to speak to you and about the Huber. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer. Yeah.
Did anybody see the Crescent News yesterday? The picture, the ballet, Fort Wayne, Philharmonic, or what is it called?
Fort Wayne Ballet Company.
Ballet Company put on their second show here, I think. And there were 11 of them, and it was about Swan Lake and all. But it was very, very entertaining, I thought.
It was very good. A lot of us played grandma and took our grandkids. But that is the only professional ballet company in all of Indiana, and we were very fortunate to have them there. We should have packed the house, but I don't know if people didn't know about it. I don't know. Of course, it's nice weather, but it was a really good show.
I wanted to add that we have dance studios in town here, and they seem to be very busy. And so quite a few of the attendees were small children taking dance classes. I thought that was pretty good.
Julie Hall from Antwerp brought the dance dolls over to watch, yeah. Other questions, comments? Yeah.
Is there a Facebook page?
Oh, yes. It's on Facebook, Huber Opera House. And Civic Center, that's right. And those upcoming events are posted there regularly. We have a webpage too, huberoperahouse.org, and that is kept up to date too.
Can you buy the tickets online, or is there a system that, because I know a few times I've wanted to get tickets and you have to call and then get.
That's another thing that needs to be worked on. We have tried to do some online sales, and we need to do it more and more consistently. We know that. Right now, the best procedure is call and leave a message, and they return your call. And because with the limited hours, again, we're all volunteer, with the limited hours, not everybody can get to the office on time, but they will hold your ticket at the door, so, or mail it, whatever. So, yes.
It just might encourage ticket sales by people being able to do that.
We did discuss that at some point. The other gal and I who work on the grants and are trying to, we're trying to encourage that.
I think sometimes people get confused though because they think, like for example, the school shows are part of the Huber, and they're not. So you can't call the Huber to get a ticket for a school show. You have to call the school. So the tickets would be for only Huber shows.
Yes, yes. And I tried to remember to put that need to call, like if it's a Village Players show, they need to call Village Players for their tickets, or they need to call CC Banks for tickets, yeah.
And on the bricks, I think, Pam, we have capabilities of
4,000.
selling 4,000
Right.
bricks, but we don't need to sell 4,000
To make that
cover
money.
those two projects.
Okay, yeah, that's probably right. I'd have to do the calculating. I know the goal is to sell 4,000.
I'm thinking you told me take this project on, but you didn't say I had to sell 4,000. Time out.
No, every brick sold is in the right, is profit toward our projects, so that's okay. Yeah, whatever so we do thank Keith for taking that on because it has been simmering. It just needs to go. Yeah.
Well, ultimately, we really would like to get the place paid off, and then the amount that we're putting toward a mortgage, for example, we could put towards a manager that has the capabilities or the know-how of marketing, scheduling, and things like that. It's just not in the budget now.
No, it's not. The money is very tight. It looks like we have a great building, which we do, but it doesn't mean that there aren't financial problems because it's nonprofit. It's just Yes, I'd be glad to step back in the shadows and let somebody take on the leadership role. What other questions?
I just want to thank you and the volunteers that are up there and put through all this time and energy. How long has it been since you started the project now? Because I think we lose track of when it started and where it's at today.
We bought it in December of 1999. Had a group of volunteers get started right away in 2000. Our first program at the, thank you, Tom. He is such a huge help with us from the Tribune, so thank you as well. But when we started, had our very first program at the Huber, the roof leaked. We had little children's pools catching the drops of water coming through. Berlin Rex had directed a show on stage. It was a veterans salute type thing, a patriotic show, and we really packed the house. People were thrilled, and it was still so ugly and so dirty. But we set up folding chairs and listened to the water dripping through the roof. It no longer leaks except on that western wall, right? Hi, Doc. Yes.
I hear so poorly. But
Yes.
what I come up with will probably have already been discussed.
That's all right.
But first, a few of us stood up there thinking about that building and whether it was going to be torn down or what would happen to it. Fortunately, it wasn't torn down. At the same time, or almost, we have a levy coming up for a new high school. And it was decided that it would be nice to have the Huber be the auditorium instead of building at a high expense an auditorium for the high school. Fortunately, we got the high school. We're real pleased with the administration. We still have the Huber, but there's a lot to be done for the Huber. And you need to think of it that this is that much that you're not paying on your taxes every time you pay it. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Dr. Hilbert, and that is true. we don't pay taxes on an extra building at the school, and we're very pleased that they use the Huber. The Huber history is interesting, basically. That's another entire presentation. Yes?
Another quick thing I just thought of, I know when they did a lot of the improvements out at the fairgrounds, a lot of that was donated, labor and work. Is there any chance of doing anything like that up here?
I need to know more about what happened. What
At
was
the fairgrounds, when they did the new grandstand and everything, there was a lot of Defiance County community members that
donated their time and
donated time, labor, yeah.
that's how the whole Huber was saved, basically. Yes. And again, the most recent project. I know the wall project on the western wall there, that will, I don't think that the people that are doing that are going to donate that, but anything else that gets done in there is still volunteer, and we're very pleased. We just got 4 more new guys, younger guys. Most of our originals now are in their 80s, but we've got some younger ones now who are helping, so it's very good that we found them. Very skilled, too.